Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Tuesday. It is match day, of course. Arsenal versus Shakhtar Donetsk kicking off a little bit later on today in North London. I'll be heading up there very, very soon. I'm in the press box tonight, so I'll be doing all my live match coverage as usual. So if you can't catch the game, if you're not watching it and you want to follow it on social media, I'll be doing live updates from the Emirates. I'll try and do a video after the game as well if I can. I'll be there for goals. I'll be doing my player ratings for goal as well. So we're going to talk about that game in today's show, do a little bit of a match day preview, do my predicted 11, of course, look at the latest team news, look at what Mikel Arteta has been saying ahead of the game as Arsenal look to bounce back from that really disappointing defeat at Bournemouth at the weekend. Also look at what you've been saying. Lots of you sending in your questions and comments as usual. So thank you very much for that. But it is, of course, just a really, really big game for Arsenal. It's always a big game. It's the Champions League. So, of course, it's a big game. But on the back of the defeat against Bournemouth, and not just a defeat, but the manner of it, the mood that has kind of clouded over the club for the last couple of days following that first defeat in a long, long time, it has to be said. Just important to get back to winning ways, especially when you've got Liverpool to come at the weekend. Need to find a little bit of form, a little bit of confidence. Surely tonight is a very good time to do that against a Shakhtar side who we know have got really difficulties when it comes to just being able to play these games. It's remarkable the way they're having to do it at the moment, and they are doing it, and they're doing it well, and they're a dangerous side. You know, you can't take them for granted by any means. Arsenal are going to have to play well. They're certainly going to have to play a hell of a lot better than they did at the weekend. They're going to get something from this game, but you would hope there will be a response from Mikel Arteta's side tonight. They were training yesterday at London Colney. Of course, the big news from that training session yesterday was there was no Bukayo Saka. Certainly not in the bit that the media are allowed to anyway. The cameras were down. Whether Mikel Arteta did a classic Mikel Arteta and left him out while the cameras were there and then pulled him into the session once they'd gone away to keep everyone guessing, who knows? I doubt it, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. There was no Jurriën Timber as well, which was a disappointment. I think with Saka, look, you just do not take a risk with Saka today, even if he is remotely fit. You just don't take a risk. You got Liverpool to come at the weekend. You just got to leave him out. I think with any sort of muscular injury like this, if it was bad enough that he couldn't even be on the bench against Bournemouth at the weekend, I don't see how he can feature in this game tonight. Jurriën Timber as well. Mikel obviously in the press conference yesterday saying that he was very, very close and he would be close, but the fact he wasn't training yesterday as well, Mikel confirming it was a muscular injury that Jurriën's suffering with, so it's nothing to do with the knee, thankfully, that obviously he had that really bad injury last season. But again, I think you just don't take any risks with him, given his injury history, or certainly recent injury history when it comes to Arsenal. You know, if there's any chance that he can play against Liverpool at the weekend, just like Bukayo Saka, you leave Jurriën Timber out for this one. So those were the two that were missing. Everyone else was there. So, you know, Ben White obviously played at the weekend. He was there. Zinchenko's there. Could we see Zinchenko start today? Who knows? I doubt it, but he was there playing. Training yesterday. So it looks like the rest of the squad is in fairly decent health. No Tomiyasu, of course, and no Martin Odegaard. So that's the latest team news going in to tonight's game. Mikel was speaking about it and he was asked about the message going into the game after what happened against Bournemouth. He said, look, we're very clear. We have to put a bit of perspective into the situation. Obviously, we want to win in any context. The reality is we made that context very difficult for ourselves on Saturday. It was very difficult already with the amount of players we had out, the schedule and the games that we've had to play. But that's the reality. For that game, we didn't get away with it. The red card, he means we could have done, and it would have been a very different narrative. The reality is we didn't. And now the context is we have lost one game in 6 months. Okay, now we have to win again with the context that we have lost for the first time in 6 months. So let's show it. And that's all Arsenal can do now. Yes, we're all disappointed. I mean, I know the reaction to every defeat now is like the end of the world, obviously, and it feels like that because what you're up against and what you're trying to achieve, and you know that every defeat, every drop point is really, really costly. But there is a long way to go, hell of a long way to go, and it's just about picking yourselves up and getting going again. Arsenal responded to defeats well in the past under Mikel Arteta, certainly in the last couple of seasons. Absolutely have to do that now. I thought this was quite interesting when he was talking about the midfield. Obviously, he went with Marino, Rice and Partey at the weekend. Not a midfield I would have picked, obviously. Said that before. Was surprised he went with it. And he was asked in the press conference yesterday about how he thought it was going even up to the red card. And he says, well, it was different, obviously, because Leo has been playing more centrally, but Gabby had a calf injury with the national team, so he wasn't fit enough to start the match, especially with what happened last year when we lost him for 5 or 6 weeks. We didn't want to do that, which meant we had to adapt. that and adapt as well our midfield. It's very difficult to have a proper assessment because I expected the first 15 to 20 minutes away at Bournemouth to be a certain way. There are different and new connections. Obviously, with the injuries that we have to try. It's like the first time we played Leo and Kai. I heard a lot of things about whether we were playing 4-4-2. Then it was flowing and it was magnificent. So things need time in terms of unique connections. Yesterday or Saturday, obviously, was not the best one to use to analyse and take a lot of things from, which is right, correct. It's very hard to analyse that game and look at it and just say, right, that's it. That's a midfield that is not going to work. On paper, in my mind, it's a midfield that it's not the fact that it's not going to work. It just doesn't look like it's going to offer you that much creativity-wise. I think if you're a forward and you've got that midfield three behind you, you're probably thinking, where am I going to get my chances from here? And that was my issue with it. And I'm not saying it won't work and Arsenal can't win games with it, but it just looks like it lacks something fairly obvious. Obviously, if Martin Odegaard's fit, he's in that midfield. So we're not going to see that midfield when Martin Odegaard's fit. But that's why I just think it was a perfect time, again, to start Ethan Nwaneri. See, McKelvin in his press conference yesterday was kind of saying, look, we have to pick and choose the right times to throw him in. I kind of get that, but I don't agree with it. I have to say, I think the right time is now because he clearly looks ready. Every time he comes on the pitch, he looks ready. I think Arteta could have easily used him in these games while Odegaard has been out. Maybe not in all of them, but some of them. I'm surprised he's chosen not to do that. I'd love to see him start tonight, 100%. I don't want to see that midfield trio again. I don't think we will. But I'd just love to see Nwaneri in there just to give the team that little bit of drive and forward momentum in that sort of attacking third from that position on the pitch. And just with Mourinho, he's obviously a very functional player, high quality player, technically very good. He's got his qualities. He arrives in the box. He causes problems. We know that from his time at Sociedad, and we know that from his time with Spain as well. But I'd just love to see Nwaneri in that position, that more advanced midfield role, getting on the ball, causing trouble, pulling defenders out of position, taking them on, committing them. And I'd love to see him play there tonight. I have to say, it'd be very, very pleasing to turn up and see that. In terms of tonight, now I'm going to go into my predicted 11 now. Having just been speaking about Nwaneri, I don't think in my predicted 11, I don't have Nwaneri starting. He would be in my 11, but in my predicted 11 in terms of what I think Mikel's going to do, I don't have him starting. I would not be surprised tonight if Jorginho and Gabriel Jesus start this game. Wouldn't be surprised at all if we turn up and those two are in the starting lineup. I can see Jorginho potentially coming in for Partey. Partey playing against Liverpool, obviously, at the weekend. I could see Gabriel Jesus maybe playing as the central striker with Kai Havertz dropping into a deeper midfield role. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So in saying that, this is my predicted 11. This is what I think Mikel Arteta might go for tonight. So I'm going Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori. Now, as I said, I've got a sneaky feeling he might go Jorginho as a holding midfielder and then play Havertz and Rice in front of them. And then an attacking three of Sterling on the right, Jesus up front, and Gabriel Martinelli on the left. So that's my predicted 11. Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Jorginho, Havertz, Rice, Sterling, Jesus and Martinelli. So that's my predicted 11. My 11, the one I would like to see tonight, I'd have the same defence. I'd have Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. I'd then have Thomas Partey in the holding role. I would then play Nwaneri as the right-sided 8. I'd have Rice on the left. I'd then have Sterling, Martinelli and Havertz. So that would be the 11 that I want to see tonight. Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Partey, Nwaneri, Rice, Sterling, Havertz, Martinelli. So slightly different from the one that I think Mikel Arteta will probably go for tonight. Right, here's what some of you guys have been saying. A couple of your predicted lineups to go through first. Nostradamus says he would go. He's predicted 11 is Raya, Timber and Gabriel as the centre backs. Don't think Timber's going to play. You go on White and Calafiori as the fullbacks. Central midfield of Marino and Rice. Nwaneri is the attacking midfielder. Then Martinelli on the left, Jesus on the right, and Kai Havertz as a central striker. Simon's gone for Raya, White, Saliba, Kivior, Calafiori, Nwaneri, Partey and Rice, Sterling, Havertz and Jesus. Bernard said, I don't understand what the argument is with starting Nwaneri. The whole idea of him in 17 years and being protected is ridiculous. Yamal was thriving at Barcelona because he was given a chance. Same as Musiala at Bayern Munich. The kid can play. Give him a chance. I agree. 100%. I agree with you, Bernard. I would be absolutely give him a chance. Denlar says, I wonder if Arteta doesn't want to use Nwaneri too much, just in case he becomes a real first team 11 player, only to be dropped when Odegaard comes back. It's just a thought that's popped into my head. I know Arteta wants to protect him, but now is the time to play him. He can do so much in this team. You're not the only one who's come up with that suggestion. Then I saw a couple other people in the comments saying that maybe he's scared that Ethan will make it difficult to bring Martin back into the team. I can't imagine that for a second, I have to say. That's the reason he wouldn't be playing him. But you're certainly not the first person to make that suggestion. And Michael says, if you start Saliba tonight, he means obviously, it says, then you can kiss the Liverpool match goodbye. You need to prepare the partnership for Liverpool. To try out White and Gabriel on Sunday without using the Champions League as an opportunity to prepare the defence for Liverpool is incredibly naive and continues the thread of ignorant funnel by the inexperience of a young manager and team. It's an interesting point, Michael. I have to say, do you prepare for that Liverpool game by starting the two centre-backs you'd play against Liverpool tonight? Probably does make a lot of sense. I have to say, I don't think he will. So my predicted 11, I've gone Saliba, Gabriel. I think I'd probably still play Saliba, to be honest, anyway. But that's a very good point. If you do want to warm up for Liverpool, then maybe that's what Mikel Arteta should be planning for tonight's game. Right, we've got one here from McCormick AFC, who says, I think if Timber isn't fit for the Liverpool game, we'll see Partey at right back with Ben White moving centre back. Now, this is obviously in response to what I was saying yesterday for what I would do against Liverpool. I'd play Ben White alongside Gabriel and I'd have Jurriën Timber, if he's fit, on the right side of defence. But I agree, McCormick, if Timber isn't fit, this is probably what Mikel might do. I would be worried by Partey at right back against Liverpool with their attacking threat, I have to say. Don't mind it so much when you're at home to Leicester or Southampton, someone like that, when you can have all the ball and you're not going to be under too much pressure. But against someone like Liverpool, who you'd imagine, if he's fit, Luis Diaz will probably be playing over there, you would think. That would be a concern to have Thomas Partey having to try and deal with that defensively. But it wouldn't surprise me if you're correct, if Jurriën Timber isn't fit and doesn't make it. And obviously there's no Tomiyasu to be called upon. That might be what he has to do. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the more I think about it, and I know I'm the one who's been suggesting moving White over to right back against that, if it is a case of either White or Partey starting as your right back, I think I'd be going White. I think I'd do that, and I'd find something else in the centre of defence to go with in that game, just because of the threat that Liverpool have got to deal with, have got down that side. So thanks for your comment there. Let's have a look at what Path has been saying here. It says, hi, Charles. Given the spate of indiscipline with the red cards, though unfortunate, and the general lack of killer instinct in attacks we've seen so far, do you think we miss Odegaard, the leader, as much as the player? He brings a different level of calm, control, and rallying point for the team. Do you get the sense around the Arsenal camp? I get the sense that Arsenal miss Odegaard in every single facet of the game and the club. And because he's that important, he's captain, like you say, he is the leader. He leads on the pitch in terms of his performances, but also the sort of example he sets. He's the calming influence, like you say. They just miss it in all areas. And that's why it's so, so important that he gets back, and he gets back really, really quickly. Not too quickly, because you can't take any risks with him 100%. Got to make sure when he does come back, he is ready. But it's so important for Arsenal to get their captain. It's important for any club. You know, it's not a case of just Arsenal being so overly reliant on one player. Every club needs their captain out on the pitch as much as possible. You take the captain out of most teams, and they absolutely struggle because he's that important. You think that great Man United side, you take Roy Keane out of that team, it's a completely different Manchester United team. You go back to the great Arsenal type sides, you lose the leadership of Adams, you lose the leadership of Vieira, those sort of players. It's so, so important. It just leaves a gaping hole. With Arsenal, this Arsenal team, Odegaard is so important to every single thing that they do and how they play, that you take him out of that side, that they miss him 100%. But they miss him, like you said, not just for what he does on the pitch, but what he does off the pitch as well. He is that important to this team. Just quickly, this is one from Terry before we wrap this one up today. He says, hi, Charles. Great show as always. Can a referee refuse to go to the monitor if he believes that he's got the decision correct? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know the answer to this, but I just thought it was an interesting one. I can't imagine there would be a reason why the ref would want to refuse, because I think if the VAR gets in his ear and says, I think you need to look at this again, the ref will always want to know why, because no matter how confident in his head of what he's seen in real time, I think now with the fact that cameras are there and they know cameras there, I can't see they'll go, no, I don't want to do that. I'm so confident in my decision that I don't want to do that. So I can't imagine that there is. But I don't know if there's a rule in place that the referee has to go to the monitor. It'd be interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not one that I know of. But I just don't really envisage a situation where a referee would even want to do that. He'd always want to check. Once someone gets in your ear and says, no, you might want to have a look at this again, given what's at stake and the criticism that will come their way. If they're wrong, they'll always want to go and double check themselves if that's the advice that they have been given. And that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you very much. Or maybe not from me today, because hopefully I will get time to do a video a little bit later on after the game. If I don't know, obviously I'll be back in the morning to do the proper in-depth reaction show. As usual, you want to get involved in that, come back to this video, leave your comments after the game on who impressed you, who didn't impress you, some of the big talking points, whatever they are. Hopefully no red cards. Get down into the comments and leave those. I'll pull some of them together and get them included in tomorrow's show. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the game later, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.